There's really two questions you need to ask yourself. If you've used LinkedIn at all, if you've been a salesperson or a business owner who's ran a sales pipeline inside of LinkedIn, having an understanding of those two things would have made our company much better at bringing in sales. Here's the number one problem I see with startups when it comes to their go-to-market strategy. This is especially true for founders who come from a technical background. It's their first startup. They don't have any experience owning and operating a business. The number one biggest problem I see is that so many of these founders do not understand their customer. Many of these people have, they have an interesting product. The product was built for themselves. They find it to be cool, unique, whatever it is, but they don't know how to sell it to the potential customer or the potential client because they don't understand those individuals. They made the product for themselves rather than for the customer. If you're working on your go-to-market strategy, there's really two questions you need to ask yourself. Number one, who is the customer? Who am I selling my product and or service to? Number two, what is the problem that you're solving for them? People buy because they're fixing problems. People don't necessarily buy because, if at a high ticket price point, especially because they find your product sexy or unique. Like everyone's got their problems they face every single day, which they are working through. So let me walk you through an example of this from my own personal experience. I actually used to be working for an early stage SaaS startup a couple years back, about 5 years ago, where we sold LinkedIn lead generation services. If you know anything about the lead gen space, you know it's super saturated. There is a million marketing agencies out there. There's no shortage of people that can run traffic. Most of them suck at it, to be fair, but there's no shortage of people who are out there doing, lead gen. People have heard it a million times before. When you get a DM from someone that says they'll come in, they'll do your lead gen for you, it's just not unique at all. But the reason we positioned it that way was because our founder, he really didn't understand the issues that these business owners were facing. He also didn't know who he was selling to. We tried selling this thing to insurance agents, to financial advisors, to real estate agents. Think kind of like solopreneur types that are really more of sales guys than business owners. That's kind of who we settled in on selling to long term. But we never really got clear on who would be the best customer for this. That's something we kind of fell into. Plus, we didn't really get clear on what this problem was that we were fixing for them. When it came to the way we positioned ourselves, our positioning as a whole was just very boring. It was very bland. It was not unique whatsoever. What we did have, though, was actually a very good product that solved a pretty good pain point for a lot of these people. If you've used LinkedIn at all, if you've been a salesperson or a business owner who's ran a sales pipeline inside of LinkedIn, you know it is a complete nightmare. If you're talking to 80 to 100 prospects at any given time directly out of the LinkedIn DMs, it is just disastrous. It doesn't matter if you get Sales Navigator or the Pro Plan, whatever it is. There's no organization surrounding your pipelines inside the LinkedIn DMs. So our product was effectively a LinkedIn CRM. Now, if you think about it, CRMs, that's a pretty high ticket product. If you're buying HubSpot, for example, an enterprise plan for HubSpot costs about $64,000 a year. Or if you're buying Salesforce or another CRM of that sort, these are very expensive products that people sell. Instead, we were selling lead gen for $750 a month. So we only netted, if a customer retained for an entire year, we only netted about 10 grand on that. Now, the issue was positioning. We didn't know how to position our software in a way that was desirable to the potential customers. That's because, we just never really thought it through that much. But if we had gotten really clear on who we're selling to first, instead of selling to kind of scrappy real estate agents who, for a lot of those people, $750 a month is a good amount of money. Your average real estate agent, at least here in Miami, is pretty broke if we're being 100% honest. But if you found a way to sell this to, say, Fortune 500 companies or mid-market companies with budget, companies who have sales reps under them and lots of sales reps under them, and you're charging $750 a seat. And these companies, a lot of times, they have money to spend. They're already spending on tools for their sales team that's going to make them more productive, more profitable for the company. And most of all, you understand the pain point. The pain point being that for salespeople, they have deals falling through the cracks at all times because LinkedIn's DMs are a nightmare for managing a sales pipeline. If we had understood those two things in hindsight, I think we could have probably potentially 10x the price, instead of selling it for like $750 a month for individual users, selling those packages for significantly more than that, but also closing a lot more of those deals because the product or the software that we had was much more effective for the customer. Instead of being just another kind of lead gen tool, now we're a LinkedIn CRM. We're a product that helps them to keep their entire sales pipeline organized. Having an understanding of those two things would have made our company much better at bringing in sales and bringing in new clients for us. If you're a startup founder, you're looking at going to market soon, you really need to be 100% crystal clear on those two things. Who am I selling to and what pain point am I solving? Here at Offer Launch, we go through launches, we take companies to market, probably once a month at this point. So we're pretty aggressive about the amount of times that we have done these launches. We've done this a million times. We're pretty damn good at this point. So if you need help with that, definitely click that link below. There's an application to work with us. We only work with a couple of companies at any given time, but if you want more information on that, apply below. Or if you're just looking for more information on go-to-market strategy as a whole, click the link and subscribe now.